the wolf, I keep the plastic caps on my things, so I'm crazy. I also keep it in its paper box. If I go in and try and do the same thing with the wolf, which is still watery on my arm because I over-watered it, I'm not getting a gray, I'm not blending, I'm getting black over white, which is solid and cartoony, but limiting. It doesn't give you as much.
That's great for fine line detail.
This is great for fine line detail.
Detail on something.
Yeah. Another trick.
What I do love with Mayor I can literally put any two things together,
right,
run
and
a
get
brush
a gradient
back and forth, and get a nice gradient between them.
Yeah. So the other thing to do is let it dry. You know, if I go back in, say, all right, I'm going to take my fine line brush. Say I did a gradient. This is like, I don't know, I shaded out a cheekbone or a skull face. I'm going to go in with my Maron. Now that this is dried, the wolf is still wet. My Maron is dry by now. And I'm going to go in and add detail lines to really accent things. So I'm being totally biased right now because I'm like marketing for Maron. But you can see I gave it a second to dry, and I can use the same black and pull a black line over it. So, and that's something that's a little bit harder with the other paints because of their consistency. Like I said, the wolf, it's less water and it goes on opaque. The Krylon, it's a lot more water and it goes on kind of like a paste. But the Maron, you kind of get a little bit more wiggle room. Which is nice if we start going in that direction. I think the Krylon is nice for what we do too because it's, I mean, you blacked out Eric Shepherd last night. Yeah. I don't know if any of you saw
that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Flat brush. If you're going in laying color, like I said, if you're going to paint half a face red, go in with the big flat brush. If you're just doing an area, you can whoop, and lay this next to itself. Right. And now you've made this area whatever you want it to be, like in Brigham with the patch skin. Just lay those colors down with a flat brush instead of a makeup applicator. You just saved yourself time and paint because this is way less paint than if I sponged it on. If you're gonna go in, should have done it in Maron because I'm used to working with that more. If you're gonna go in, say I did that in red, that's muscle structure, or say this is the white base for a skull face, which we will all work on at some point soon. You're gonna go in over it and you want to add a cheekbone. Say cheekbone. I'll use wolf on wolf. I'm going to use my angled brush because with the angled brush, it works kind of like a calligraphy brush where if you turn it sideways, you get a wide flat stroke. If you spin it as you're moving, it's going to turn into a nice thin tapered line. And that's going to save you a lot of trouble if you guys can learn how to pull 1 or 2 lines to make your cheekbones, your teeth, everything. So say this is a cheekbone, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to start off wide and turn and pull. So now you get this nice brush stroke. And you can go over that again if you need to make it darker, and it's the same motion. You're going to go wide and turn and pull so that your brush is just the tip. Like this thin edge, it started off on the side and turned to use that, and you can get these nice tapered lines. And these tapered lines are like a staple for a lot of what we're doing. You can use that to highlight, to accentuate, to make cuts. So say we're gonna turn this into a cut now. This isn't gonna be a cheekbone anymore. We're gonna put a color next to it. So a prime tip that I give people is if you're gonna do a wound, like say you're just gonna paint in some cuts really quick, put red next to your black. It will make the red pop and it will add this shadow. It looks ridiculous in regular light. In dark light, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to go in. Oop, I'm bleeding.
Is that a blue undertone? I can't tell.
What, for the red? Yeah, this red is the one in my kit. It's their basic, whatever red. My Rayon, I have a super pink, an orangey one, and a burgundy. That's a blue undertone. But you can see if you put this on someone's face as a cut, you painted it in, maybe go in, add a little bit of coagulated blood over it, or you can add some wet blood, or oversaturate your paint. This is a technique I was showing Tova the other night. If you oversaturate your paint and you want it to look like it's bleeding, make it look like it's bleeding. She was trying to do black tears. Like, she cried off her makeup. Don't paint it in. Don't make more work for yourself.
Let it drip.
Add water until it starts to drip. Look, I'm bleeding. Ah, scary. So don't make more work for yourself. Don't try and paint in drips. Just saturate your paint and let the water run. And the last thing I really wanted to impress upon you guys, because it's something that I do every night and I think will help you a lot, when I mention this brush being the best thing in the world, because it is. If you're trying to do the striations in the muscle structure, if you want to paint in a symbol, if you want to, I don't know, accent around a cut, this little brush, you can pull some super fine lines that make a huge, huge impact. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I usually brace with my pinky. It's usually on the actor's nose. I make a joke about it. They laugh. We move on. It's not awkward. But now you get that nice thin black line that makes it pop. Add black next to anything and it will pop more. This is like Art 101. If you put a dark next to a light, it makes the dark darker and the light lighter. So never just put like a red line and be like, it's a cut now. Put a dark under it. Pick your light source. I did Rob's face earlier, and I'll go in with my, I'm going to go in with my wider brush here, my wider round brush. I did an X on Rob's face when I sent him out. So I want a big cut. Your round taper you can do a little bit more with. If you press down, you get a wide, lift up, it starts to let go and taper. It's a lot like doing your nails. If anybody paints the nails, you start wide and lift up as you go. Press down and lift up. So you can get something like that. And then I'm going to take my little brush here. That's tingly because it's wet. And I'm going to pick a light source. I'm going to say my light is coming from a certain side. So anybody ever do like graffiti bubble letters when they were in like middle school?
Yeah.
Right? So you always have to, like, or block letters. You have to pick where you're looking from to make the block letters work. Same kind of concept. You're not going to outline this whole thing in black. You're going to pick a side. I'm going to say that my light source is here. Josh is my light source. So my shadow is going to be here. Carrie's going to be my shadow. So I'm going to put my shadows in wherever my shadows would be. My shadows would be up this side. And they'd be down over here. And carry it over a little bit. So now you have, you guys can see, you have a little bit of depth in there. It looks silly here. It doesn't look like much. It looks like a lot more out there. Which is why I have you guys go through so you can see the difference. Because you might make a bomb face and then it's gone the second they step out there. And again, I just oversaturate my red because I want this to bleed too. I'll pop in a little bit of extra paint. I can shake my hand. It's a little bit harder to get an actor to shake their face. Round brushes are great for this too because they hold a lot of liquid.
Ooh.
Pretty.
Whoa.
So the more liquid, the round brush holds a lot more liquid than the flat brush because they all act like sponges.
It's a little bit more precise.
It is a little bit more precise. But pick the size. If you're trying to get like a wide cut, use a wide brush. If you're trying to get a thin cut, use a thin brush.